Today, we're going to talk about how to find your passion and inner awesomeness. I am your host, Lia Dunlap, and you are listening to the Oracle on Purpose podcast, where we help intentional leaders clarify their purpose and next steps to create a work and life of significance. Let's talk about your passion and inner awesomeness. This, by definition, is your mojo. That unique combination of desires, talents, interests, gifts, idiosyncrasies that only you can bring to the world. Now, what's the risk of not finding it? It might seem silly or frivolous. However, there really is a risk to not really developing, understanding, or expressing your passion and your uniqueness. Some of the things that might come up are that you don't get to connect to people in an authentic way, right? And you come off as either aloof or arrogant. And definitely that puts up walls and barricades between you and other people that just don't need to be there. You might also feel self-conscious and lonely. And that's really serious. Like, so many people there's so much media out there, there's so much exposure, and yet so many people feel disconnected and lonely. So even when they're around other people, they still feel like they're not connected. You may also spend your entire life, your whole life, hiding the one thing that the universe created when it created you. You are unique on purpose. Some examples of other people who really have embraced the idea of their passion and their own inner awesomeness. Three of my favorite people right now. One, forever and ever, will always be at the top of that list of amazing people that, the more I learn about this person, the more I'm just enthralled with how he lived his life. And that is Mr. Rogers. And as a side note, if you haven't seen the movie, please do. There is a great documentary about his life and his work. And it really was so beautifully done. It's done with his fellow actors on the show and his wife and his kids, just kind of to honor who he was. But, he was a man whose personal mission it was to show that kindness, respect, and love can change the world for the better. And that children could be a catalyst for that change. And that the value of showing and teaching them these things was immeasurable. I in the movie, but also I heard this myself as well, so I already knew this. He had actually spoken to Congress on behalf of public service television, PBS, and children's programming, because he knew the value that they were providing. And he was so passionate about the work that, despite everything that was against him, his passion shined through so brightly that when they talked to the gentleman, some of the people that were on the panel there listening to him, they said that they just, there was nothing they could do. His passion was so strong that they had to agree. They had to agree with him. And, that's the beauty of really being aligned with what you're meant to do and who you are. Speaking of which, the second person I want to share, the second example of someone who's really passionate, but also really embracing uniquely who they are, is someone that I've long since admired. And, her story as well is very telling. And that's Oprah Winfrey. If you talk about someone who's really harnessed every bit of her passion and inner awesomeness to change the face of the world with the work that she does. And really, if you imagine that where would we be without Oprah today? How many lives has she touched? How many people has she inspired? How many people have transformed their lives because she did stand up and stand out and did it in a way that was so authentic and real and true to who she was, that it gave everyone else permission to do the same. And, she was once told that, the world would not accept her, that her face, her name, her body, they were all wrong for the industry that she wanted to go into. And yet she did it anyway. She was passionate and she was driven to do what she wanted to do. And because she had all of her journey really exposed to the world, like she really put herself out there, all of her challenges, all of her flaws, I think that that's one big piece of why she became such an inspiration to so many. And that her unique way of being really made her stand out and really made her be someone that people looked up to. And, today, people around the world adore her just as she is, right? They cheer her on. They follow her. Talk about the magnitude of influence she has in the world. Putting Oprah Winfrey's name next to something is a mighty big thumb on the scale. And, speaking of scales and balance, the other name that I want to acknowledge, the other person that I want to acknowledge is someone of our younger generation, which I find so inspiring and hopeful, right? That there are young people out there making a huge difference, and there's so many of them. And this person, I love the way it started. That she really took a stand for something she was truly passionate about. And in doing so, really rocked the world and really showed up with that strength. And that is Greta Thunberg, who is the Swedish climate activist. And, she's a fine example of how even at an early age, if we really do know what our passion is, then we can make a difference. We can make a positive impact on the world. And we can find that inner passion and inner awesomeness because, this is a person who has admitted that she's on the autistic spectrum. And so there are pieces of that puzzle that others might say make her a little different. But part of that is that she is determined and I guess undeterred by what other people and other children her age might have balked at. So I think that that's the beauty of it. Like something that you think might be different about you could it be the exact thing that helps you create and move forward in your passion, because it is part of that. It is that combination of those things that you are, that once they're kind of all put together, that they actually do deliver what you're meant to deliver. And that's what the benefits, when we look at this, when we find what that certain passion is in us, and we give ourselves permission to share our unique, awesome, inner awesomeness, whatever that is, then we can actually use it as motivation to take action towards our goals and our desires and our dreams. We can do so even when things seem difficult, right? Because we are basically tapping in to that source. We can be able to deliver on the promise. Like I said, we are all here on purpose. That is something I absolutely, unequivocally believe and want people to understand. And if that's the case, and you're watching this still, I would imagine you at least partially believe that. If that's the case, then why wouldn't we be designed and created with that passion and that unique piece of us on purpose as well? So if we really do tap into it, then we can deliver. We can deliver so that others can deliver on their promise, right? Because there's no separation. We are all working in this grand, floating, beautiful spaceship together, right? It's like, it's a big world, and yet we're all connected. So when we are living our passion, when we are living on purpose, and when we are really, truly shining all the pieces of us that make us unique, then other people can actually receive that from us. Whatever that piece of it, that they need for their journey, it only comes through us. Like I always say, life doesn't happen to you, life happens through you. And what you bring to the world in that way matters, because people are waiting for it. They're waiting for you to deliver on something that they need so that they can deliver on what they need to deliver. So it is that ever unfolding path. It is that kaleidoscope of pieces that moves around, one shaping and shifting in the other. And, we can also, this is the piece I think that's important right now, especially because we talked about like that disconnection. It's finding a sense of belonging, not necessarily in a micro group, right? But finding a sense of belonging here in the universe, right? Again, going back to the idea that this place that we're in, this moment that you exist in, you were invited here. You are a precious guest of the universe on this planet. And you were invited on purpose, and allow that to guide you to the places and people in your sphere, literally this round blue sphere, that match your vibration, right? That connect to you on that deeper level, because you are being really who you are. And you're going to find and connect to people that really want that. They really want who you are, nothing else. And those that don't will naturally fall away. Doesn't mean that it's going to be painless, but the beauty of really showing up and really leaning into your passion is that it's going to, as I said, it's going to motivate you to move forward toward that. And in moving toward it, you're going to be drawing people to you that are on the same journey or on a similar journey as you. So how do you find it? Let's talk about, I'm just going to go over today like 5 things, 5 simple steps. I know it's 5, but they really are simple steps to finding that. So the journey to discovering your passion and inner awesomeness, it's simple. Like I said, these are not difficult steps. It's simple, though sometimes it can be not easy. And what I mean by that is there are simple things to do, but they really require you, if you're going to do it properly, they really require you to be clear and to be honest and to be, kind of to open yourself to the process, which doesn't always come easily. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's simple. And yet if you're really doing it properly, it could be a stretch for you. And that doesn't always feel easy. It's more about unlearning than it is about learning. And what I mean by that is we, as young people, little babies, when we're brought into the world, we are showered, even sometimes before we were even, take our first breath, we are showered with ideas and hopes and dreams and aspirations from generations of family members who are excited to have us show up. And so even without trying or knowing or, maybe sometimes knowing, but even without trying, we suddenly come into the world with this weighted sense of what we should be or should do, right? And sometimes that can be societal, like it can be in your community. There can be things that, for example, boys do that girls don't do and vice versa. There can be cultural things that are, only for your culture or not for your culture to do. And so those things are like kind of how we show up. We show in that space, we show up in that family, and whatever that looks like, that plays a part in us understanding, or at least, appreciating what we're here to do and deliver. So we have to kind of unlearn that sometimes, depending, and that can be very broad. So depending on how strict, how loose your family was, whether you were encouraged or discouraged to do something you felt really passionate about, those can definitely play a part in, why you're here watching this video, right? Like you feel like you're not connected to that passion. That may be a reason. And so, and this isn't to take blame or anything. This is a natural human phenomenon that happens because people get excited, and babies are about hope, and we want to see the best for our children and all of those great things. And yet unknowingly and unwittingly, sometimes we can actually put things on a child that aren't theirs. It's not for them. And so when we get to a place where we're, proactively looking at what is my true passion, what do I really bring to the table that's uniquely mine, it can take some unlearning. And so that's the first step, right? So the step number 1 really is we have to put away all the things that we were told that we were good at. which can be difficult. We have to put them all away. And then the things that other people think that we should be passionate about, and set it aside. So I want to talk about those two things really quickly as separate things. When we talk about the things that other people think we will be good at, we talked a little bit about just right there about like kind of as we're younger, like people just hope for things to happen. And then we can get, as we get older, for a myriad of reasons. Sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's, again, like family lineage, I guess, where, well, your father was a doctor and your, grandfather was a doctor, so you're going to be a doctor. That kind of thing. Or that people can look at the things you do as you grow up and they assign for you what they think you would be good at. Right? So you could have something that you're talented in, like you could be a really good cook, or you could like to cook with your family. And yet it's not that you like to cook, it's the community of being together and making a meal that you like. But if somebody outside of you chooses to look at that example and say, oh, Joe's going to be a cook when he grows up, and then, or a chef when he grows up, then that's imprinting something on you that is from outside. Right? Doesn't mean that you don't also feel that way, but those are the things we're looking at. So we have to put those down. To put them down, and we have to say to ourselves, okay, so that's what Uncle Sam said, and he's always said that my whole life because I went and cooked brownies with him one time. But it may not be true. That may not be what you're passionate about. So then we'll talk about the passionate piece. And the passionate piece is kind of tricky because there are causes and things that society says are important, and it's not that they aren't. Okay, it's simply that whether or not that is something that you are uniquely passionate about for yourself, right? That's what matters. So when we look at this list and we start to kind of develop it, we want to ask ourselves, is this something I feel that I enjoy and I'm good at, or is it something I've just been told? And the other piece of that in regards to passions, is this something that if no one else was around, I would fight tooth and nail on behalf of, right? Like, so it's not from anybody else's perspective. It's like something inside of you is saying, this is absolutely wrong. This needs to change. This actually has to happen, because inside of you, you know that. Not because someone else told you, right? So that's so the first thing is put all that other stuff away. Set it all down. Okay, so that's the first step. The second step then is do a catalog of all of the things right now, an inventory, if you will. Do an inventory and list everything that you are currently responsible for. So list all of the things that you are currently doing on a regular basis. And this doesn't mean that it's something that you have to get paid for or not. It's basically everything, like kind of look at a week and what the average week looks like and list as many things as you can that you are personally responsible for and that you handle. Now take that list and kind of scan through it, right? Double check, go back to step one, make sure there's nothing on there that something else is telling you you should or shouldn't do. We'll get to that in a second. And then third, list all the things you did as a child that lit you up. Like naturally. Like if somebody said, oh, there goes, Sally again. She's off playing in the field, picking flowers. And that when you think back to that moment, you're like, oh my gosh, I was just so happy. Like I could stay out there all day. My mom had to drag me in. Yeah, that's the thing. And the other one, because some people don't have that memory or they don't have that space, is to look at the things you're doing now. So the things you do now that while you're doing them, right? So whatever they are, so again, not necessarily work related, but whatever they are, where while you're doing them, and like time just disappears. Or somebody has to come and get you and say, hey, are you going to bed? Or like, are you going to go get something to eat? And you've just been consumed by doing whatever it was. So those two things, that list is basically looking at the things that really light you up. And hints will be in your childhood if you have those memories, or now in the things that you do that totally take you out of time and space and you're just like in it. Okay. So that's the next piece. Now, The fourth step is to review your list. Okay, so you're going to look at these lists that you've created and look for patterns. Look for the places where suddenly a pattern starts to appear. The pieces of the puzzle, right? Where, oh, when you were a kid, like I said, let's say that girl that was out there always picking flowers really also enjoys when she's gardening, right? And it may then be that while you're gardening now, you're tapping back into that little girl who had a passion for nature, right? And just was very passionate about it. Now, the cool thing is, this is where we look at the other side of that, is maybe the piece of that really was not just flowers, but maybe it was the colors of the flowers and the blossoms, or it could be even going deeper. It could be the creatures in the garden. It could be actually the plants and the animals that are on the plants. It could be, were you chasing butterflies or ladybugs or, chasing grasshoppers, whatever. Like there could be some extra piece. So go deeper and look for the patterns. And that's the magic combination of the things that you were good at right now and the things you love doing. Things you were good at and the things you love doing. That's the hint. And then the fifth one, okay, you ready? This is like, bring it home. Go out and find a way to do more of it, whatever those things are. So doing more of it, show up more as that person, speak to it, share it with people you care about. Let that part of you have a voice and have a presence in your life. And so wherever you go, whatever you do, bring it with you. Whether or not you actually turn it into a job doesn't even really matter. As long as you're bringing it back into your life and speaking to it and sharing it, that energy behind that, right? That energy is what people resonate with. That's the vibrational piece of it. So remember, the world is waiting. It's waiting for you to show up on purpose. Thanks for watching this video. If you haven't yet, subscribe and ring the bell. And if you want to see more videos like this, click right here.